Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about a deep subject. I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the value of a human being and how each one of us, in my humble opinion, validated by Dungeons and Dragons from a secular perspective, are the personification of a wish. It's an incredibly deep subject, and I kind of want to take the journey there. So let's start talking about it. All right. So I have really been very impressed with the very distinct, very swift, and urgent improvement of the official Dungeons and Dragons content, right? So to tell the truth, I love Dungeons and Dragons, but a lot of times I don't get my news about Dungeons and Dragons content from Dungeons and Dragons. And the reason why is it was pretty bog awful for a long time, right? So one, they have a product to sell. I get that, right? And then the other thing is they have this super small team, and they're working really hard to build the D&D canon hardbacks. And that's what the Dungeons and Dragons design team does. It builds the D&D canon hardbacks. Increasingly, that's like Tony Stark's like fusion heart, right? Nothing works on Dungeons and Dragons without these D&D canon hardbacks. And there's a lot of people that will tell you that's wrong. They're like, oh, like right now, Professor Dungeon Master over on Dungeon Craft and Bob World Builder, and these are guys that hate modern Dungeons and Dragons, and there's a lot of these channels. Ted from Nerd Immersion really have an active dislike of how hard Dungeons and Dragons wins, like really dislike the huge wins that Dungeons and Dragons has been able to put on the board, right? And it's significant. It's a very significant thing. All right. And so you have all this, right? And they are very upset with they are very upset with Dungeons and Dragons overall, right? And but yeah. And I'm really fascinated by that because where does news come from, right? So I want my news to come from a Dungeons and Dragons champion, a Dungeons and Dragons advocate, and honestly, I don't really care about fans anymore. If you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, I don't really care about anything you have to say. I think fan is a weak term. It's antiquated and old, right? You're an advocate or you're a champion. Fandom is done. It doesn't matter anymore, right? Like fans are casuals now. Fans are casuals. I think that's the best way to understand that, right? So we're trying to get news. We're trying to learn about Dungeons and Dragons, right? So for a long time, I would just skip Dungeons and Dragons content because they were not good at giving information about their own content. They were really bad at it, right? That changed with Todd Kenreck. Todd Kenreck really came forward, and he did a spectacular job of actually really doing. Todd Kenreck really did a very good job of making D&D content good again, right? And so right now, Vecna Eve of Ruin content is going forward, and Mackenzie DeArmas, Amanda Heyman, and Chris Perkins are the people who are talking about this book, right? And they're giving a ton of information, and the playlist is phenomenal. By the way, go right over to the official D&D YouTube channel, and then go to playlists and click on the Vecna Eve of Ruin. It's phenomenal. It is an incredible and they really spoil the vast majority of the book, right? Which, that's its own subject, but I'm totally okay with that. I actually think that's a good thing because it's hard to sell D&D canon hardbacks, right? So, and this is the way to do it, is let people know what the heck they're going to get. Like, this is a really big deal. Like, we can't mess around anymore. Like, it's hard, like, selling these books. So I really think it was important that we move this, this forward, right? So, and we have at this point, we've really moved this forward, right? So Todd Kenreck is in there, and he's interviewing Chris Perkins and Amanda Heyman and Mackenzie DeArmas. And Amanda Heyman comes in, And she explains that the Wizards 3 are trying to stop Vecna from releasing a chaos bomb, okay? And this chaos bomb is going to it will not destroy the known world. It will completely reshape the known world. And what will it reshape the known world to? Listen carefully to this. A multiverse of irredeemable evil, right? Vecna is irredeemably evil, right? And he's saying, hey, if you're a cultist or something like that, I'll give you power in this new world. You're a loser right now, but you'll be a champion in this completely reshaped world that will be irredeemably evil. And that's literally the words that Amanda Heyman used. Irredeemably evil, right? And this is a really big deal because this connects to another concept that I've been thinking a lot about. Right now, we live in a world where the concept of evil has died for the left. The right still very much knows what good and evil are. They choose to let evil win to get a win, right? But the left is so far over on this, right? Like they've arrived at a point where they really can't even, the left is really out of the conversation on this. They don't even know what good is anymore, and they don't know what evil is. There's so many clues of this, right? Right now, one of the biggest things is there's a lot of protests, right? The protests are siding with the evil side and not helping the good because they don't know what's good. They don't know what's evil, right? They call for things that they have no understanding of because they no longer have any understanding of good or evil. But Dungeons and Dragons is like, oh, yeah, we are, we are on the West Coast, right? But this is all grounded in Gary Gygax's legacy. And Gary Gygax said that alignment's here and we have to know the difference between good and evil. That is the only secular anchor in the world that is keeping lost people who are not religious or sacred from having any concept of what good and evil is. That's pretty profound, right? All right, you guys have been patient. Let me get to the point of this. All right, so Amanda Heyman says, okay, the Wizards 3 want to stop Vecna. So they get together and they work hard and they craft together a powerful wish spell. And they say, and their wish is, help us to wish. The wish is, give us what we need to defeat a god. Give us what we wish. Give us what we wish to defeat Vecna, who at this point has been unstoppable. And then their wish is fulfilled. All right, their wish is fulfilled with the player characters. The player characters team is drawn to the Wizards 3. So now Mordenkainen, Alistriel, Silverhand, and Tasha are looking at the personification of their wish. Their wish, they were like, oh, we thought the world would be crafted. We would get a weapon, that we would all become more powerful. And no, the wish is these guys, these 3 people, these 5 people, this player character group is what will stop Vecna. And at that point, Mordenkainen, Tasha, and Alistriel Silverhand are told, you will not beat Vecna. These player characters are destined to beat Vecna. They are the personification of a wish. That is astounding, right? More than astounding, it is profound. And I want to tell you how and why it's profound. Listen carefully. This will blow your mind, okay? All right, get this. So how and why is this profound? Why is this special, okay? This is profound and special because it is saying that the player characters are the personification of the wish. But this is a Gary echo. We live in Gary's legacy. And we're incredibly fortunate to have it because the rest of the world doesn't. And every single day, we live with truths and wisdoms that the rest of the world lacks. Perfect example of this is true name, right? I know like, if somebody gets my name wrong, I refuse to accept that. I will correct them immediately, right? If I meet somebody, right? And if I meet somebody And I'm like, hey, my name's Scott Garibay. And they're like, oh, that's awesome, buddy. I'll forget that soon. I immediately put them like in my mind. I'm like, this is an evil person. This is an evil person, right? They just told you they're going to forget your name. Do not trust this person with anything, right? Ears up. You just heard, rabbit ears up. You just heard the wolf, right? True name, right? There's all these pieces of wisdom. Alignment. Alignment is critical, right? Like Gary was like, I don't care if you're religious or not. Good and evil are real, right? So is law and chaos, right? Like these are real. Like alignment is real. It doesn't matter what your faith is, and it doesn't matter if you're an atheist. You still have to know that there's good and evil in the world. And we are in a world that is quickly forgetting that good and evil exists, right? So what's really wild is, I was just thinking about this. This is one of those times where Gary would speak, like he put the alignment on the player character, right? On the character sheet. He put alignment on the character sheet. And like scrub players are like, oh, my character's alignment is lawful evil. And you're like, no, you're lawful evil. Or like, you picked that for a reason, buddy, you know? And the reality is, the alignment is not asking the alignment of your player character. It's asking the alignment of you. And it's the first time in your life, nowhere else, nowhere, not even in my evangelical church do we say, are you good or are you evil? We don't ask it that straight, right? But Gary did, right? And that's the point about this personification of a wish. When the player characters they're there, right? And you, as the dungeon master, are like, you guys are fated to beat Vecna. Fated, right? Mordenkainen, Tasha, and Illustrio, Silverhand, all worked together, and they said, we need what's necessary to beat Vecna, and you showed up, right? And what Dungeons and Dragons is saying there is like, it's not just your character. You are the personification of a wish. And we want you to understand that you sitting at this table, right? If you're in an online game, none of this counts. Like if you're on an online game, nothing's being said to you, right? Like, but if you sat down to the table with a dungeon master, and you have dragon masters to your right and to your left, right? Each with their own player character sheets. You are the personification of a wish. Somebody taught you how to read. Somebody taught you how to socialize. Somebody taught you how to put yourself in a space where the ante is 750 pages of rules reading, and the expectation is 20,000 pages of canon, right? You are one of the most charismatic, confident, intelligent people in the world. You are the personification of a wish. Your mother or your father wished for you and put you into place, right? And set you into place. Do you understand that? They set you into place to be something, right? You, the player, are a personification of a wish. And you are told this when your player character is told you are fated to defeat Vecna. And your dungeon master is saying you are fated to change this world. You are charismatic, confident, and intelligent. You are a personification of a wish. This is why I'm so passionate about Dungeons and Dragons. Why I've done 9 years of content on it and have a list so long I can't even do a tenth of it for ideas, right? I used to worry, oh, you'll run out of ideas. I literally have 1,000 items I've had to get rid of that I can't, cover because there's so much to cover in Dungeons and Dragons. You are a personification of a wish. You are one of the most charismatic, confident, intelligent peoples in the world. And you are special, and you are unique, and you are incredibly valuable. And that is important. That is critically important. Be what Gary set you in position to be, and what your parents or one of your parents set you in position to be. You are the personification of a wish. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.